And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Greetings, listeners and fans. Welcome to another thrilling episode of RBLR Bucs, your ultimate source for all things Tampa Bay Buccaneers related. I'm one of your hosts tonight, and boy, do we have an electrifying show lined up for you today. Our beloved Buccaneers are on a nice little win streak this season. I can feel the excitement in the air. I think a lot of our fans are pretty pumped up. I'm pretty fired up right now. We are definitely seeing some changes for the better, and we are just inching closer to greatness, a.k.a. staying on top of the crappy mountain that we stand on, a.k.a. the NFC South. But that being said, we got another fiery matchup against the New Orleans Saints, which ought to be real good just because if we win that game, that'll be big for us. We will be crowned the official NFC South champs. But before we dive headfirst into this pregame analysis and we talk about that wonderful win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, I want to introduce you to the co-captain of this RBLR ship. He's a man who eats, sleeps, and breathes Buccaneers football. He is my incredible co-host, Carter Brantley. What's the good word, my friend? How you doing?
Oh, the good word is that I heard this is your 150th episode, man. Hell yeah. Oh, man, congratulations, man. This is great.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. We're going to have to add a little M to at the end of RBLR for RBLR M, Musab, right? Rays, Bucks, Lightning, Rowdies, Musab, Tariq. So I guess it'd be RBLR MT. But regardless, whatever the case, congratulations, my man. Really awesome accomplishment.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll get right into it. Yeah, like you said, the Jaguars game. Good gracious, that's the most dominant performance I think we've seen all year from the Bucs. 30-12, and I don't think the score even is really an accurate representation of how good of a win it was. Baker looked fantastic. The defense was swarming all over the place. Poor Trevor Lawrence, that guy did not need to be playing. He looked out of it. He looked like a guy who was dealing with an ankle injury and was coming off a concussion. And then, of course, he unfortunately had the shoulder injury at the end of the game. It seemed like the Jaguars just never really stood a chance. A lot of it seemed to have to do with Trevor Lawrence just not being 100%, which Zach and I talked about it last week. We didn't think he was going to play. And he went out there, but clearly wasn't a great performance, but we're a Bucs show, so we're going to focus on the Bucs and talk about some positive stuff. Both sides were just absolutely fantastic. But if you had to pick, which one had more of an impact for you, offense, defense, or if you want to go crazy, special teams? But I'm guessing it's going to be either offense or defense.
Yeah, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to have to give it to offense. Honestly, this was a little tough just because the defense really balled out for sure. I mean, honestly, it was really amazing on both ends, but I just have to say, I feel like, the fact that we were able to kind of just, get a nice, good head start. We got an amazing head start, actually. I mean, Mike Evans really balled out. I think this was the prime example of exactly what fans wanted to see between Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. That chemistry is deadly. And the fact that we were just, getting the ball down the field, even if it means just racking up a field goal, I think that really kind of put them down. This is a Buccaneers team that people have been very iffy about. And the fact that now we're leading by like 10, 20. All right, you got a banged up, Trevor Lawrence. It just works out real well for us. But I just have to give credit to the offense because at the end of the day, they're the ones who really rack up the points on the board. But oh man, this was tough, man. It was phenomenal on both ends. I was really impressed. What about you?
Yeah, I think I might have to go to the defense just because they created so much. I mean, Devin White right out of the gate with a pick, and then obviously the 3 other turnovers that they forced. It just felt like they just smothered things, and then obviously the offense played fantastic. Like you said, you're splitting hairs here by comparing the two sides, but the defense just really kind of set the tone because the offense, they had a really nice drive. They got a field goal out of it. It was fine. But at the same time, the defense just looked so dynamic. Really, really great job, especially for Devin White. My goodness, what a like you can't make it up, after the week that he had of the weird questions, being a healthy scratch or a healthy scratch, depending on who you ask. It was just a weird week for him. And then he's just like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go out and play some really good football. And good gracious, that was a really impressive play because, he was coming in and then he sprinted back, read the pass, read the throw, got the pick. And it was just really, really cool to see. Because like I said, I know we've all been kind of dogging on him for, his little situation with the drama and everything off the field. So it was nice to see him go out and ball out, like you would say, Musab. So yeah, that's kind of I got to say the defense really played well. But in that same tone, who's your player of the week? If you had to pick one guy, who's the player of the week for you?
Player of the week's got to go to Antoine Winfield Jr. I mean, he is just consistently performing amazing. Big game for him as well. As always, I mean, he's a game changer. Whenever, we're thinking, oh, I hope the Buccaneers defense doesn't get cooked or something. Well, if it does happen, at least there's Antoine Winfield, saving us from, whatever troubles we're going through. So I got to give it to Antoine Winfield. I mean, this guy definitely deserves all pro, whatever awards are out there, for guys like him. Honestly, I'm really happy. And I mean, I'll just leave it at that, man. What about you?
Yeah, I hate to be boring and agree with you, but I'm going to go Winfield Jr. as well. You have the big three. He had a he had a pick, a sack, a fumble recovery. Like I don't know how much more he could have done. I guess he could have scored a touchdown on defense too, but that's kind of that's kind of nitpicking. Yeah, he was fantastic. Yeah, like you mentioned, all pro candidate, absolutely at the safety position. He's doing it during his walk year. He's going to get a fat contract. They keep saying pay Mike, and rightfully so, but pay Antoine Winfield Jr. too. They're both going to cost a pretty penny. And Antoine Winfield Jr., with the season he's having, might reset the safety market. He might go out there and be the highest paid safety in the NFL. There's a lot of rumors he might get franchise tagged as well. But regardless, a fantastic performance this past Sunday from Antoine Winfield Jr. Just kind of ho-hum, more of the same, an interception, a sack, and a fumble recovery. We all watched it and we were kind of like, oh yeah, that's just kind of what he does, which is kind of ridiculous for a defensive player. So speaking of, we were talking about the all-pro candidates for Antoine Winfield, but there are other awards, obviously, and there's a really cool case for Baker Mayfield to be the comeback player of the year. What do you think his chances are, Musab?
I think his chances are real good. I really do think so. I mean, what he's done with this organization, the fact that this whole organization was kind of starting on a clean slate, with
Yeah.
Dave Canales as offensive coordinator. You got a new QB, kind of a whole new kind of offense minus a couple guys. I think he's also transformed a lot throughout this season. I think that's also kind of something to recognize for sure. It's not like he just immediately, came into week one and just started balling out throughout the whole season. I think he's really learned a lot. And more importantly, I think this is, one of the best versions of Baker we've seen. I think honestly, his attitude on and off the field, what he's capable of doing, I think it's amazing. I think he definitely deserves a shot to win comeback player of the year. I mean, I know there's other candidates from what I've heard. I know obviously there's DeMar Hamlin. I think I've even heard Joe Flacco actually maybe
Yeah,
even being in the Bucs as well.
for sure.
But I mean, I know it might be a little biased. I'm a Bucs fan, but
Of course, of course.
yeah. But I mean, I think he's really put the league kind of on notice, and I think a lot of people are really surprised with the way the Buccaneers are playing, especially these last couple weeks.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I know, like you said, we're both biased because we both, are talking about the Bucs. We're covering the Bucs every week, so maybe we're a bit biased, but that's okay. That's the whole point. But yeah, I got to agree with you. I think he's got a real chance, and like you said, he's just been he's just been kind of a consistent force, but yet at the same time, like you said, he's not the same player that he was in week one. And to come into that new offense, like you said, with Dave Canales running the ship, and to succeed and have the amount of success that he's had has been really impressive. And some people have been comparing his numbers to Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and saying, "Oh, he's an
I've
MVP."
seen that.
Yeah, like let's slow your roll, Chief. Like let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Baker's been fantastic, but good gracious, like he's still, he's been really good, but he's not quite there yet. Let's slow our roll. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how that all plays out because the Bucs winning hardware, that just unfortunately doesn't happen very often. They don't have a lot of individual performers that win a whole lot of
Mhm.
awards. So it'd be, even if it's a minor one like this one, it'd be really cool to see. So another kind of big deal is Yaya Diaby. My goodness, he has been fantastic. Since we're talking awards, we're coming near the end of the season, so it's kind of important to take a look back and just kind of evaluate these kind of things. And Yaya Diaby is a defensive rookie of the year candidate in my mind. I mean, he has been
Oh, hell
really,
yeah.
really good. He has been so good these past few weeks, just racking up tackles for losses, sacks, doing it all off of that edge rush position. And for a third round pick, I mean, I know that he's really athletic, has a lot, like he looks like a robot out there. He's just so like, he's just so efficient with all of his movements and everything. He's really, really good on the edge, but I don't think anybody expected this. He's been really fantastic. So how realistic is his defensive rookie of the year candidacy for you, Musa?
I think it's pretty realistic. I mean, this guy leads all the rookies in sacks. He's like second tackles for a loss.
Hmm.
He's made a huge difference. And I do remember when we had drafted him, I said, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if him and Cansey start taking other guys' spots. I mean, this is what's happening. Um, the fact that, yeah, I mean, this guy is only a rookie and he's performing like this is amazing. It's a kind of a third round steal as well. I think he's got a good shot, especially, these last, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks or whatever. He's definitely picked it up big time. Obviously, I wouldn't say, week one or week two, he was really kind of doing much, but it's these small changes that I've noticed. Things like, Yaya Diaby balling out more. Then you have people like, Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans kind of clicking a little bit better. Rashad White, for example, improving. All these things are now starting to kind of become a little bit more prevalent. And I mean, that's really about it. I mean, he is one of the reasons I really feel like the Buccaneers are starting to get, look a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought up Cansey too, because they both have been really, really good this season. Like you said, stealing people's spots. I mean, Yaya has been taking over for JTS. I mean, JTS has
Yep.
been played off the field, which is, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's also great because now the Bucs have a rotation of pass rushers, which hasn't really been the case over the past few, really since Jason Pierre-Paul left. They've kind of been lacking in that department, so it's been really wonderful to see that. And yeah, Yaya's been fantastic. Kalijah is actually listed as one of the, not the favorite for some. Jalen Carter, I get it, he's super talented, but he's like the top dog in regards to the odds. And I understand he's super talented and he's been playing pretty well, but Yaya's got him beat on a lot of major statistics. So I'd be interested to see how that all plays out. It's kind of one of those things where, like, are we voting for production or are we voting for draft status? Because, like, if you want to just
Hmm.
draft for whoever the first defensive player was taken, then why do we even play the games? But that's just me kind of being pessimistic. But yeah, I don't know. Yaya's got a serious case, and I've been kind of disappointed to see that people have been kind of lacking on him. But hopefully, he gets the recognition he deserves. But on the counter side, there was an Ian Rappaport report, kind of a weird conjunction, talking about Todd Bowles getting Coach of the Year mentions. I don't know how serious this is. This was a very weird thing to read. I was kind of like, Ian, have you even been, like, he's not even mentioned in any articles, or any odds makers are not listing Todd Bowles even in the top 5, top 10. I think I read that he was 19th in odds for winning Coach of the Year. So what do you think? I mean, maybe we've been talking about Todd Bowles getting fired. So, like, this was way out of left field, but maybe you disagree, Musab.
No, this is extremely out of left field.
Yeah.
I don't even know I don't know why, you would even post something like that. I feel like sometimes people post those kind of things just because they run out of things to say or they just want to just juice things up for no reason.
Mhm.
No, he doesn't. No, I don't think he deserves a shot at all. I don't.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't. think that he's definitely not going to get it for sure.
No.
I mean, Carter, you and I were just talking about it right now. Yeah, I mean, we've been saying fire Bulls, and it's not just us. I mean, you go anywhere, you look at any fan or any Buccaneers kind of fan base website or any account, and everyone's feeling the exact same way. This guy doesn't deserve any credit for what has been going on. Sure, I mean, if things have been looking better, and I don't want to say he is completely not responsible at all, but
Of course.
I mean, we've been making fun of him for the last how many weeks, and I don't know. This just seems like someone's just an outsider, sees
Yeah.
that the Buccaneers are just doing
Aren't it?
somewhat well. They
Right.
take
Yeah.
down the Jags, they take down a couple other guys, and oh wow, okay, just give all the credit to Coach Bulls. I don't know. I feel like this is just how it is sometimes, but kind of reminds me of when it's like a bunch of soldiers actually do the fighting in war, and then the
Yeah.
general who just sits in the office just
Mhm.
gets the award just because he's the one who, I guess, commanded them.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that was a horrible comparison. I don't know if that was a really good comparison.
No, you're good.
Makes it
No,
sound like I'm taking credit from like army generals, but you know what I'm saying, man. It's the
for sure.
players who are doing the dirty work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the junior officers, the captains and the majors, aka Dave Canales, who are really out there in the trenches, with the soldiers.
Yeah, I don't really get it either. It's a weird one. Yeah, it's a weird. There were some people saying that that Todd Bowles' agent was slipping Ian Rappaport a little check under the table for him to write about this. I don't know about the legitimacy of all that, but it's kind of funny to think about. Yeah, it just seemed like kind of a lazy kind of the Buck, like you said, the Bucks are doing well. Let's give the coach some credit. When in reality, like I feel like the Bucks are losing in spite of him with most weeks. I mean, I get it. The past few weeks, he's actually seemed to have like caught up to the fact that like, hey, fourth and short in opponent territory, you probably should go for it. Because there were a lot of times when he was very conservative with his play calling. The defense is still the secondary is bad. There's still some times where it's like, oh God, this is a defensive minded head coach. Like, what are we doing here? So yeah, definitely not a coach of the year candidate in my mind, but I just wanted to throw it out there just because I saw it and I thought it was kind of funny. I figured we could get a few chuckles out of it. So I hope the listeners got a few chuckles out of it too. But one thing that's definitely the attire of the year, if you're looking to rock something that's going to win all kind of fashion awards, rocking by the runway models and all that stuff, definitely check out the RBLR shop, shop.rblrsports.com. We've got the Rays, Bucks, Lightning, and Rowdies. The Lightning and the Bucks, they're in the midst of a pretty good season. We've been talking trash about the Bucks, but they're doing well now. So get yourself a T-shirt to celebrate. Get yourself some gear. Yeah, so we'll give you a promo code too since the Bucks won this week. It's Cannons, CANNONS. Type that bad boy in, get 10% off your entire order. Definitely check that out. We'd really appreciate it. So after that little plug, I want to take a little step back and have some fun because it's been a fun time to be watching the Bucks. It's been a great time. So what's your jam of the week going into this Saints game on Sunday, Musa?
Oh man, Carter, these days, I got a whole little playlist of just like house chill music. I don't know, man. One day I just put my Apple Music on shuffle, and then boom, I just started jamming to this artist called Falden.
Hmm.
So he's got this one song called he's got this one song called "Don't Want to Know" by Falden, Falden.
Very cool.
I don't know, man. It just makes me feel like I'm in like some downtown kind of like Spain club, you know what I'm saying? And I got a
For
nice
sure.
little drink in my hand. Life's
Oh, yeah.
good. The Buccaneers won. Meeting up with
Indeed.
some, RBLR Spain fans.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, that's chill. I love the vibes, for sure. Definitely. Maybe you're in Tampa, maybe you're hanging out at Ferg's or something, watching the Bucks game, listening to this. Although obviously Spain's, a pretty gorgeous place to be. So maybe you'd rather be there. But yeah, mine's kind of in that same kind of chill vibes note. Tormenta by the Gorillas. It's got a Bad Bunny feature on there. Guilty as charged, big Bad Bunny fan. Yeah, it's just a really fun little like chill vibe song. I mean, it's the Gorillas and Bad Bunny. Like that's such a weird combo, and I love the song. They have that new album that they released this past year. It's fantastic, and definitely like I'm feeling it for the Bucs to win this division, and I'm going to be listening to this song while the Bucs are celebrating this division win. So I'm excited, and it's it should be a lot of fun. So taking another step back, kind of broad perspective look at the Bucs. We were talking about awards, but who's been your Bucs MVP so far this season, Musab?
Oof. Oh man, this one's a little tough, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because. Well, I want. Yeah, how about you go first, man?
All right,
Let me
yeah.
see
I'll
where your
go
head's at. Let me see where your head's at.
give you a little time
And
to give you a little more time to think, because I know how it is for sure. Like I've had to be thinking about this for a while, and I go back and forth constantly. Like you asked me today, I'll have a different answer for you today than I will tomorrow. So I feel you, but today my answer is definitely Antoine Winfield Jr. I know it's the Antoine Winfield Jr. show so far, but he's just been so good. For that defense, it feels like he just covers up a lot of mistakes that the secondary makes. I know he's got a running mate in Ryan Neal that has been a bit up and down this season, but Antoine Winfield Jr. has just been the kind of consummate pro, just consistent all across the board. Certainly some other names that popped into my head, Levante David. He's near the top of the league in tackles for loss, and he's plus 30, and he's an inside linebacker. Just really amazing stuff from Levante David. Obviously, Baker's turned it around recently. He's been fantastic. Mike Evans has been really good. So yeah, there are a multitude of names that could deserve that you could make the argument to deserve this award, but Antoine Winfield Jr. is definitely the guy I had to go with. So Musab, now that I've given you some time to think, who you got? Who you got?
yeah, man, I don't know. For some reason, I mean, I think Antoine Winfield, he is absolutely balled out. I think I'm just slightly just leaning a little bit towards Baker these days, just because of
Wow,
what's been going on these last couple weeks.
man.
Now,
What
I
is
don't
that?
want to say I was exactly a Baker hater, but I was kind of maybe a little bit like, okay, hey, like, yeah, Baker's our quarterback, go Baker. But now I'm like, you know what, man? I'm really happy we got this guy. He's a dog, honestly. And, I think that's exactly why he deserves that comeback player of the year. Not a single fan base with the Panthers or the Rams whenever he was playing with them, although he didn't really do much for them either. It's not like any fan over there was saying, let him bake, or
Right.
Carolina bakethers, or the
Ouch.
Los Big Jalis Rams, or whatever. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? But it's Tampa Bake. You know what I'm saying?
oh
So
no.
I don't know, man. He just has the heart of a bulldog. That's what I just love. And I mean, he's also performed really well. I think he just needed some extra time. I think he's kind of just needed to figure some things out. But I'm leaning towards Baker Mayfield just for what he's done. I think this was a very scary offseason we had. We had no idea what the hell was going on. We got Baker Mayfield. Some people loved him. Some people were not really too enthusiastic about it. And we finally saw it all kind of play out throughout the season. And I think he's really improved a lot. So, and I mean, at the end of the day, he's changed the game for us as well. He's really gotten us through, especially getting those kind of first downs on those fourth downs. Instead of just throwing it, he runs it down. He
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
give up at all. So I want to give it to him. Yeah, I think he's really made a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, going into this season, I think we all thought it was a question mark as to what was going to happen with him. Like, oh, is he going to get benched in the middle of the year? And now we're talking about, oh man, they got to extend him. They got to give him a new contract. So it's crazy to see that transformation. So I'm with you. Baker's definitely up there for the team MVP, if you want to call it that. He's been fantastic. And there's something to be said about stability. And it felt like Baker just didn't have that for the past few years, even in Cleveland. His last season, there were kind of whispers like, oh, well, maybe Baker's not the guy. Maybe they need to move on. And, they did, fortunately for the Bucs. And, then the Panthers, I mean, the Panthers got them, they ended up with the number 1 pick last year for a reason. I know they traded up for it, but they were still one of the worst teams in football. So it's tough to deal with that. And then, of course, the Rams, it was kind of a little cameo. So, yeah, there's something to be said for just, a guy being able to give him just giving him the keys, saying, hey, it's your team for a season, go get him. And he's certainly made the most of the opportunity. So shout out to him. It'd be fantastic. But the Bucs are on the verge of winning another division title. I think that's going to be really fun. What would it mean to you personally, just as a Bucs fan, for the Bucs to win another division title, three-peated? I mean, how much would that mean to you?
I think it would mean a lot, especially everything we've been going through from the off season until now. I don't think anyone really saw us actually having a true shot. Even before the season started, I don't recall anyone saying, "Oh yeah, Bucks are going to be at the top." I think it was probably the Saints who people thought
Yeah. Hmm.
with Derek Carr, yeah, joining them as well.
For
So
sure.
for that reason, it makes me real happy because of just everything we've been going through. I think this would mean a lot for a lot of people, including me. That's really about it, though, because we've had our highs and lows throughout this whole season. We've had times where we're thinking, "Oh my God, like we are just a little bit better than the Panthers." But now we're looking really good. I honestly think that we have a decent, whatever shot, maybe in the playoffs. Probably not, but
Yeah, we'll get to that.
if yeah, let's just say, look, I would say, if our schedule was maybe a couple more games, I would be confident that we would win those. Have if they were not, the NFC top, rivals such as the Eagles or the Niners. We've already played them though, so what I'm thinking is, I think we got a good shot against the rest of the league.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles, the Niners, and maybe the Cowboys are the three teams that I look at as the most threatening to the Bucks, and the Lions
Hmm.
obviously as well. But yeah, the rest the Bucks could probably handle. But unfortunately, it's looking like the Bucks might have to take on either Dallas or Philly, whoever ends up second in that NFC East. But we'll get to that. We'll cross that bridge when it comes. But the Bucks take on. You got me saying it now. The Bucks take on the Saints this Sunday. And Baker's been so hot. Do you expect him to kind of continue his hot play going into Sunday against the Saints?
Yeah, I think him, and I just think the whole team. This is a big game. Sure, I'm sure the Saints are also feeling the same way. But I mean, he's been real hot overall with the rest of the guys as well. Um, this is a big game for us to win, and the fact that we're already clicking, the fact that we've seen what we're capable of doing. I don't see why we can't just do it again against the Saints. I mean, they're not anyone special. This is not the Cowboys or the Eagles, as you were mentioning right now. This is kind of a rather interesting, weird, from a Saints perspective. Like my buddy, it's a depressing Saints, a little confused. So for me, I mean, I think we definitely got this in the bag for sure. It could be a dogfight during the game, but I'm confident that we definitely get this win for sure.
Yeah, I am too, and I think Baker plays a huge role in it. I think he's just been throwing the ball so well. He seems to be really, really settling in and coming to his own in that offense. It's been really fun to watch. So I think that nothing changes against the Saints, especially at home. They don't have to deal with the Superdome. They're just
Hmm.
they're just chilling at Raymond James. I think they'll come out energetic and they'll do their thing. And I think Baker's obviously going to play a huge part in that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how it all plays out. But one interesting thing that I want to watch is for the Saints, at least they've got, you mentioned they have Derek Carr under center and all this stuff, and there's been a lot of turmoil with that. I mean, the Saints fans. There was a game where the Saints fans were booing every time Derek Carr came into the game, and they'd cheer every time Taysom Hill came in. I mean, it's getting ugly out there. There was that weird little spat with Chris Olave, and then Eric McCoy and Derek Carr had a very public clash. So what's your take on all that? I mean, do you think that the Saints are in trouble here with Derek Carr, or do you think maybe this is just an aberration and they're looking to rebound next year? What do you think of the Saints moving forward?
As right now, yeah, I think they're probably just going to look to rebound next year. I think right now they're just going to just dog it out the best way they can,
For sure.
see what they can do, see what they can do, whatever, and kind of just recalibrate during the off season and see what they got to do. But I wouldn't be. I mean, from if I was a Saints fan, I wouldn't be that optimistic either about, hey, things will improve or something either. Um, Maybe a little bit next year, but that's about it though for me.
Yeah, I mean it's ugly. It's gotten kind of nasty, and it's weird because they're an old team. They're kind of an aging team. They're going to be in some salary cap issues. I mean, they always are, and that's no different this offseason. I don't know what their plan is. They've kind of been just kind of playing off the cuff when it comes to roster construction over these past few years, bringing in veterans and kind of just continuing to kick the can down the road. And they haven't really been building any youth. They're kind of where the Bucs were last year, except even worse because the Bucs at least kind of seemingly had a bit of a foundation, and they realized like, hey, we're going to kind of have to eat this for a season, take it to the chin. And luckily, things have worked out, obviously, for the Bucs. I mean, we've been talking about it the whole show. They're on the verge of winning the division, despite the fact that they've swallowed a lot of dead cap this year. And so next year they have $40+ million in cap space, not even counting the restructures they can do. While the Saints are as always, they're under. They need to make some moves to just get under the cap. So, yeah, I don't know. The Saints are a weird team, and they're kind of on. They've got this weird vibe about them. I don't dig. Like, I know that's a stupid and kind of lazy take, but their vibes are off. There's some teams that like they're really chill and like,
I'll tell you
oh
this,
yeah,
Carter, the whole NFC South vibes are off, man.
oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for sure. The Falcons have Arthur Smith, saying, we're gonna die trying or something. And it's like, my brother, like, you only got to give the ball to your playmakers. Like, just stop limiting Bijan Robinson. Like, you don't have to die about this. And it's just some weird stuff going on in the NFC South for sure. So yeah, the vibes are off in the entire division, but that's no different for the Saints for sure. But speaking of the NFC in general, the Bucs are poised to make the playoffs at this point, and it'll be really fun to see how how things play out. But who's your favorite to win the NFC at this point?
Ooh, this one's tough. I'm leaning 49ers.
Really? Okay.
I'm leaning
They kind of got
49ers just
yeah. They kind of
because
got first.
I don't know. I was Eagles at first, but something just tells me things, anything can happen in the playoffs. So,
For sure.
I don't know. I feel like the 49ers have a real good shot. If not, then I'd probably, man, I hate to say this, but maybe just the Cowboys too, man. It's
Oh,
real tough. I don't know why, man. I don't know. I mean, something just tells me, but I don't know. It's just hard to think about this just because it's the way I see the Niners, Eagles, and the Cowboys. I think they're all kind of neck and neck in my eyes. It's just going to come down to who plays better during the playoffs, who are their actual opponents, and all that as well. But I'm going to go with the 49ers though. What about you, man?
I got to go Philly. They've been my Super Bowl pick all year, and I know they've looked rough, at times this season, but I don't know. They've got some problems, but they've also got the pedigree. They were just in the Super Bowl last season. I know Jalen Hurts has been kind of up and down this year. He's turned the ball over quite a bit more than he did last year, but I think that they put it together. I'm not sold on the Cowboys. I just really think that they just it's like they fool us every year. It's like, oh, the Cowboys are good in the regular season, they're going to be good in the postseason, and then the playoffs come around and they get bounced, and it's like it's ugly. So I don't know. I'm really curious to see how it all plays out, but the Eagles are my favorite for now. The 49ers just they looked rough on Sunday against the Ravens, and I know the Ravens are an amazing team, probably one of the best in football. But yeah, I don't know. The 49ers just don't have it for me. I also just don't really like the 49ers in general. They're just kind of an annoying team. So I'm really excited to see this playoffs play out. And maybe the Bucs just come in and play spoilers. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see them knock the Cowboys or the Eagles out in the first round, in the wild card round. Pack Ray J and have the fans going nuts. That'd be a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that the Bucs knock off one of them. So speaking of that, are you happy that the Bucs are you just kind of happy for them to make the playoffs? Or are you expecting them to put up a fight against either the Cowboys or the Eagles, whoever they have to play?
Yeah, I'm just happy they make the playoffs, man. I mean, I'll be more happy if we actually put up a good fight, against Dallas or Philly. That's what I'm, interested in actually seeing. I would hate for us to just get absolutely run over.
Of course.
But then again, that would be okay. Hey, at least we made the playoffs.
For sure,
But
yeah.
what I'm looking for is, listen, I'm happy we make the playoffs. And hey, listen, we put up a good fight and we end up losing. That's okay. I think the fact that we make the playoffs, or the fact that we had made the playoffs, is already a big deal because I don't think anyone would have thought that earlier on this season or even during the off season with everything that's been going on. Um, I don't want to say that we have just, rise from the ashes like a phoenix, okay? But we have definitely come a long way for sure. And I think that's something to recognize. I know me and Zach, I know we all kind of, sometimes, put down the Buccaneers when they kind of deserve it. But
Uh,
um, I will say that though, we really have come a long way. We've improved a lot. Things are getting a lot better for sure. I mean, people like Rashad White are actually starting to look kind of decent and pretty good during some games. Baker's clicking with Mike Evans and the rest of the guys. Our defense is starting to look real good. We got some young studs like Diaby and Cansey. Antoine Winfield is balling out, but he's been balling out throughout the whole season though. But yeah, that's about it, though. I mean, I'm just, it's kind of maybe a proud dad moment already. I mean, I know we haven't started the playoffs, but I'm proud of our Buccaneers, though, for what they've been able to do during this rather interesting, weird season.
Yeah, interesting, weird, tumultuous, all the above, roller coaster. Yeah, it's been weird. And I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of just excited to see them in the playoffs again. It'll be fun. And if they get blown out again for a second straight year, who cares? It's better than sitting on the couch and not having any Bucks football to watch, right? So I'm pretty excited to see how it all plays out. Just because you never know. Like you said, any given Sunday, all that nonsense, but it's true. Anything can happen. And maybe the Bucks squeak out of it and get a victory. If they win one game, that'd be awesome. I'd be ecstatic.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
bring back Todd Bowles if they win a playoff game. I mean, good gracious, that's the vibes I'm on.
Bring him
Nah,
back, but I don't know if
yeah,
if he deserves that Coach of the Year, though. I don't care what,
right.
unless we win the Super Bowl. I don't think he deserves it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm never sure that Major League Baseball is always saying, "Oh, regular season, postseason are different for awards." I'm pretty sure the NFL is like a regular season award too, but I don't know. I
Hmm.
feel like the bias leaks in where it's like, "Oh, but this team was really good in the playoffs." But who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. So yeah, if they won the Super Bowl, that'd be crazy. I still don't know if he'd win, but it'd be kind of fun. So speaking of those awards, I got one last question for you because it's been kind of a hot topic in the NFL Twitterverse because the Ravens 49ers game was a big matchup with Lamar and Brock Purdy, two MVP candidates, and Lamar came out ahead. Now he's the favorite to win MVP. He's my pick to win MVP. But who, if you had to pick for the NFL MVP this year, the most valuable player, who would you pick, Musab?
No, I'm going with Lamar. I've always loved Lamar since the day he played against FSU when I was at FSU and he ran us over. I always knew the dude was special.
For sure.
I mean, he already had his MVP season in the past. I've always just loved the guy from the start, and I'm always rooting for him. Um, I also root for the Ravens because, well, I don't root for them exactly, but I like them because when they go against the Steelers because my cousin's a Steelers fan,
For
and
sure.
I
Yeah,
just
shut him
seeing
up.
him unhappy makes me happy.
Hell yeah.
But
Hell
that being
yeah.
said, though, I mean, no, the guy's actually phenomenal. I mean, people continue to sleep on him for whatever reason. I don't know why. People just pass up on him. It's really weird, but I mean, he has made a big statement, and I'll never forget. I think he said like, "Oh, all those teams that passed up on me, they're gonna regret it." And I still think that deep down, every team does. Honestly, could you imagine Lamar Jackson on the Buccaneers?
Oh man. That hurts. Yeah, that hurts a lot. Yeah, and then this past off season, all the teams passed on him. Like he was posted as,
Yeah.
yeah, for a trade, and that's got to be investigated because I mean, there's just no logical reason why a former MVP quarterback would garner no trade interest other than just collusion and trying to get the Ravens a better deal on his contract. So I think that's a pending thing that could be investigated, but that's a bit of a conspiracy theory and rabbit hole I won't get down into. But we are at near the end of our episode. So over unders. I know you got some for me, Musab. Hit me with them.
Sure, man. Yeah. I'll do a little something, something. All right. Over under Rashad White, 75 yards rushing, just rushing.
Okay. The Saints have a good run defense. They got Demario Davis at linebacker and Cam Jordan and that rookie out of Clemson, Brees, I think his last name is. So I'm going to go under on individual rushing yards for him. I think he always makes a big impact in the passing game. So I think if we're going all-purpose yards, I think he might hit 100. But I think it's going to be more of a 50-50 split or like a 60-40 split kind of thing. I don't think he hits 75 rushing yards. I think that the Saints bottle up the run game pretty well. But I still, I think that he's still going to have a solid game. Just another kind of ho-hum, quote unquote, all-purpose yard game for Rachaad White. But how about you, Musab? What you got?
Honestly, these days, and it's not just with the Buccaneers, but sometimes I'm thinking, oh, is this guy gonna ball out? Or sometimes I think they're not gonna. So I'm gonna change things up. I would never think that he would be able to get more than 75 yards, but I think for some reason we make it happen. I think Rachaad White gets over 75, just a little bit over. I don't think he's gonna hit 100 at all. I'm not as optimistic as Zach was. I think it was last week or the week before.
Yeah,
yeah,
nuts.
yeah,
Well,
yeah. But no, I'm gonna go slightly over, just to spice things up.
For sure, yeah, and he could absolutely get a few little gains in, get some nice yardage. So I hope it. I would love to see him run, because if he runs for over 75 yards, I think the Bucs win this game running away. I think they win regardless. But if he breaks 75 yards, then things might get ugly. It might not be. We might see another blow up on the sidelines with the Saints with Derek Carr, which that'd be kind of fun. So I really hope that happens. But what's your other over under that you got for us, Musab?
You know what? This one's interesting. I'm gonna go over under for the Buccaneers to have attained 2.5 sacks. So over under Buccaneers 2.5 sacks. You think we make that happen?
That's a tough one, because like the Bucs have been getting a little bit of pressure recently. Like
Mm-hmm.
we've been talking about Yaya and Kalijah Cansey. Vita Vea has been getting in on the action a little bit. Shaq Barrett's also been, having a little bit of a renaissance, kind of turning back the clock a little bit. He still, looks a little bit slow sometimes, but yeah, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over. Derek Carr is not mobile at all. He's not quite Tom Brady, but Lamar Jackson, he is not. So I'm going to go over. I think that they're able to create some pressure, especially on the left side of that offensive line for the Saints. They got Trevor Penning, the second-year guy there, and he's a bit shaky. Ryan Ramczyk's pretty solid on the right side of that line, but the interior is a bit rough, and that left tackle, Trevor Penning, can be a bit of a mess. So I'm going to go over. How about you, Musab?
Yeah, I'm going over. I think this is a big game for us, even on the defensive end as well. It's going to be similar to how we played against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think our guys are going to be balling out. I mean, this is our NFC South rival. The Saints. I feel like we got a lot of kind of bad blood. We're trying to show them up. Who runs the league, or not runs the league, runs the NFC South.
For sure.
We definitely don't run the league.
Right.
So no, I'm going 2.5 for sure. I think a couple of our guys get some sacks.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see it, because because then if they win this week, then good gracious, everyone can just have a week off next week. It can be a bunch of healthy scratches and just chill and watch the Bucs second string or third string team play the Panthers, get Kyle Trask some run, satisfy some Florida Gators fans. Just kind of chill. So that'd be cool, and we'll see how it works out. But that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to have a big day defensively for sure. But now, before we go, we'll get into some predictions. Musab, who you got winning, and what's the score?
I would go 27-10 Buccaneers, but I just think that for some reason the Saints just get a little garbage TD like the Jags do. So I'm going to go 27-17. I think the Buccaneers dominate throughout the whole game. I don't think Derek Carr is able to kind of really do much with the rest of his guys on offense. I think that, fine, their defense is obviously, they're decent. Their run game is decent. I think they'll definitely be able to stop us here and there. But something that tells me the way our chemistry has been working, the way we've been rolling week after week, I think we do what we did against the Jaguars, just take the ball down the field. And I think that's what is the game changer. The key thing is, giving our defense a lot of rest. Because what we were struggling, in the past is just these quick 4 and outs. Our defense gets exhausted and we get cooked. So I think the opposite's going to happen against the Saints. I think our offense dominates the majority of the game, and we end up with a solid win against a division rival. What about you, man? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I got the Saints scoring the same amount of points, 17, but I got the Bucs scoring one less touchdown. Still Bucs winning, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I think it's it's a dogfight, like you like to say, Musab. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a contested game because the Saints are still in it too. The Saints, if the Bucs manage to lose to the Saints and then screw it up totally and lose to the Panthers, which of course is totally in the realm of possibility, then the Saints could try to sneak out of a division win. So, the Saints are playing for something too, and I think the Bucs are going to be ready for them. Like, this isn't like an overlook game. This isn't a trap game. Like, both sides know what's at stake. And I think the Bucs are just the better team right now. So I think they'll come out on top 20-17, and the Bucs will be NFC South champions, and we'll be having a fun episode next week. So definitely stick around for that if you're excited, and especially if the Bucs win. But even if they lose, we'll still have some stuff to talk about because hopefully the Bucs can secure it against the Panthers. They just got to win one of these two games to win the division. But that's all we got for this week's episode. We really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you liked what you heard, definitely hit that like and subscribe button. Also can give us a follow at RBLR Sports on any of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Definitely check us out there. We've got some great content coming at you all the time for Tampa Bay sports. But we really appreciate y'all tuning in again. Happy holidays. Next time we'll be talking to you will be 2024, so we'll see you next year. Oh, God.
Next year.
I do that, but I had to throw it in there. Regardless, Happy New Year. Hope everyone stays safe and has a wonderful holiday season. And as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.